Hey Cancer, right away while I was connecting with the energy, I started getting this message that you are supposed to become or do something that has never been modeled to you before or really shown to you or given to you as an option. And the images that were actually kind of coming with this were interesting because I was seeing different kinds of stages. I saw kind of like a runway. I also saw more of like a traditional kind of stage. And what this really felt like, maybe on a literal level, some of you are meant to be performers, or some of you are meant to kind of be in the public eye, or just have a lot of attention on you. And while this is true for some of you, I am also recognizing that these are general messages, and obviously this doesn't apply to anybody. But the metaphor here is that there is something that you are supposed to do that it almost feels like you're afraid of or you were shamed out of because it brought you into some sort of spotlight. There was something about you making recognition wrong or standing out being wrong, and this is very likely due to early childhood conditioning, either from your caregivers or from teachers, and it feels like there was this kind of someone attempted to support you, and they did that by being realistic, but they actually kind of crushed your dreams. And there's been this sense of almost being lost or empty that has kind of come in. And I think right now you're recognizing this, or you're recognizing it even if you are kind of stepping into your purpose or have already done that work, where there's sort of a barrier or a blockage. And it feels like the thing that needs to be resolved is this sort of like creative ego identity crisis. And it feels like there's some sort of shame about being recognized. I actually did pull a couple of animal cards as well, connecting to your energy. We will get to the tarot in just a moment, but I just wanted to kind of clarify this energy. And honestly, it really feels like the energy I was just describing with the peacock and the raccoon. Obviously, the peacock is very showy. It has this sort of extravagant flair. It's incredibly beautiful and eye-catching. And this raccoon is very interesting because it's very shadowy and kind of hiding in the background behind the scenes. And I get the word scrounging. I feel like, honestly, like, it almost feels like, Cancer, a lot of you have been living off of breadcrumbs. You know, you've almost deprived yourself of what you've really wanted and try to make yourself happy with what you've received, but it's just not meant for you. And there's like something more, and it feels like you're making that okay. And I think this is something that honestly is like, it does feel like it could be tied to something creative or expressive here with these energies. And sometimes the raccoon even does indicate like working with hands, because they have those opposable hands. They're able to manipulate things like humans can. And so maybe there's something about working with creative tools or instruments. But it feels like something that you haven't been able to do openly. And there's been some sort of blockage around this. And a solution I'm sort of getting for some of you right now, especially if there is some sort of creative work, it's almost like having a stage name or like a kind of ego or persona that you step into or adopt. And this isn't the same thing as being deceptive or lying. It's about you protecting yourself energetically. It's almost creating a mask in a way that is like empowering. Because I think a lot of people think that if you're hiding, it's like you're cowering or you're in the shadows. But this is more about bringing out another part of yourself. And it almost feels like drag, funny enough, where it's like you're kind of stepping into this persona that's part of who you are, but it's also this like really embellished, glamorous version of yourself. And that's going to look very different for all of you, but it's like getting in touch with your inner drag artist, like drag king, drag queen, whatever, which is sort of funny, but it's like that almost feels like tapping into that confidence for me. And it's also spell work, because it's like you are projecting who you are wanting to become. And you're embodying that now, which can be really, really powerful energetically and magically. So it feels like there's something about you almost like, I don't want to say faking it until you make it, because this isn't fake necessarily, but it's almost like embodying who you want to be in 5 or 10 years. Who inspires you, the version of yourself that inspires you, your highest self, if you will. So that's really, really interesting. I'm so curious to hear how that lands for all of you in the comments down below. I do want to start pulling some tarot cards, and as I do that, I just want to thank all of you who support this channel with your likes, shares, comments, and subscribes. If you haven't done so already and you've been following this channel for a while, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you can always stay up to date with what's in the cards for you. I'm also running a sale on my website right now, so if you're curious about what's happening in the stars for you, you can get 30% off a chart reading with me through the month of January. 2025 is a huge, major year, especially since we will have Jupiter entering into your sign. It kind of starts off rough for you, Cancer, I'm not going to lie. But it's like whatever sort of struggle or challenges you're facing right now, there's actually a lot collectively where it's like you're facing your fears and you're kind of like releasing your own resistance towards what you want, whether that's fear or insecurity. And that's very much aligned with the stars as well. So it might be helpful to look at what's going on for you astrologically. Of course, I do also have other services on my website, including tarot readings and distance Reiki sessions. So maybe there's something there that can kind of help move you along or uplift you. Anything else? These are general messages, so take some time, maybe even pause this video and really just reconnect with yourself and your body so you can really discern what messages are meant for you as opposed to what's meant for somebody else. If this video just does not resonate at all, it's totally fine. Nothing went wrong. It's simply not meant for you at this time. It may be connected to someone else in your life, regardless of zodiacal placements. So maybe you're meant to share this video or this message with somebody. And I do also have readings for all of the other signs as well, so maybe checking for your sun, moon, or rising sign. So we do have a couple of cards already coming out. We have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. And it's funny, like, this is what I mean. I feel like, I wanted to say, I feel like some of you are living off of breadcrumbs. And you're breadcrumbing yourself. You're only giving yourself a little bit of what you want. You're depriving yourself. I really feel that with this card. And you've been struggling. I feel like some of you have been getting out of a period of maybe financial instability or some other sort of instability. I do feel like you're actually in the process of getting on your feet, though, with the Two of Pentacles. So there may be some changes in your day-to-day life or with your work. Maybe some of you are moving. There's some movement here. And while I was connecting with the energy, I actually was getting that kind of infinity symbol that we see here in this Two of Pentacles, this sort of equilibrium, this back and forth. And it feels like your own energy has kind of been wobbling and sort of, it's like there's something that you want to do or something that you want to reach for. But it's like you have one foot in and one foot out. And I'm reading these cards very intuitively, by the way. I know some people will be listening to this reading and be like, that's not what these cards mean. I'm just delivering this to you as I'm sort of feeling these images out. That's just kind of how I'm feeling inspired to do your reading right now. Sometimes it is more traditional, but today it feels like I need to really trust in the story and the image. And maybe some of you are kind of working with visualistic mediums or like visual arts. Maybe you're receiving symbols or there's just a lot of visual synchronicities in your life right now. Pay attention to what you are seeing. That is also a message I'm getting. Interesting. So I have the Seven of Swords in reverse here. And it feels like right now you're kind of recognizing someone has been giving you something or offering you things, but it's like there's either some sort of agenda or they don't actually mean to give you something. That's for some of you, okay? For others of you, the Seven of Swords actually represents a self-deception. And again, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where it's like you've almost convinced yourself of, well, this is what I want. This is the life I want to live. I don't want that life. I don't want that big life. I don't want attention or fame or, being in the spotlight. Like, that's not for me. I actually don't think that's true. Just being honest, for a lot of you. And even if it's not about you being recognized as a person, maybe you want your work to be recognized or your effort to be recognized. And you're sort of sitting with this. And it's almost like whoever told you to be this way, I don't even think they're really that much in your life anymore. This does sort of feel like a parent or some sort of caregiver or someone from a previous chapter. But it's like, you took on that conditioning because that's what it meant to be in relationship. That's what it meant to be secure or to be loved at that time. And you're now letting that go. You're letting go of an older version of yourself that you at least partially constructed to be in relationship with another person or to be supported by another person. So this feels like it's going like pretty deep. And this could apply to like multiple relationships too, because very often we reincarnate patterns in our romantic or personal connections that do mirror our childhood experiences with our caregivers or family members. So that's interesting. Yeah, you just don't have the energy to like push through with something anymore. With this 9 of Wands in reverse, you've kind of been in burnout. And it feels like, again, there's almost been this carrot on the stick that you've been sort of baiting yourself with. Like, I just need to finish this. I just need to keep going. I just need to keep going. But it's not what you want. Someone could be peacocking in your life too. This is kind of an aside, but there could be someone who's only showing their better qualities to you, but I think you kind of see that, and you're just over that sort of dynamic. That could just be, for some of you, maybe dating or just connecting with another energy. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, you definitely need to let some stuff go, Cancer. 9 of Wands and the 10 of Wands in reverse. Oh, Cancer. I feel like, I don't know why I'm getting emotional about this. Like, you have been working so hard. And, like, you are a hard worker. And I feel like people tell you that you aren't. People tell you that you're lazy. They don't see how much effort and energy you put into just, like, living sometimes. And it doesn't need to be this hard. You know, it's almost like you're making yourself the problem rather than the life you're living just not being compatible with you. And it's sometimes really scary to admit that. And sometimes it does mean sitting with the unknown or not really knowing where we're supposed to go or having a sense of direction. I feel like for a lot of you, you're still in this place of like, you're looking to be happy without making a big change. You know, you're trying to make the least amount of change, but you know deep down, like, you need to change a lot in your life. Big energy. And it's okay not to know that answer right now, like what this life needs to look like. But I think there's just this freedom, there's this release that comes from acknowledging this isn't right for me anymore. And this actually kind of reminds me of when I used to work in a hospital. And, you know, in another life, I could have ended up being a nurse. I was working as a psych technician, and I worked primarily with like dementia and delirium patients, also people going through withdrawal. And a lot of the people who are in my department ended up going into a nursing program. That was something that was kind of offered to us. And I really considered it. A lot of my colleagues had done that at the time. And I had gotten to a point where it's like, I don't really want to do this, but it just seems like it's so in front of my face. Like, it almost seems silly not to consider it. But at that point, I started just getting assigned the most difficult patients, literally 12-hour shifts of people screaming, and I was at the bottom of the totem pole. I really had no control over like what I could do for that person. I was basically like just there to prevent that person from doing something that was imminently dangerous. And that's pretty much all I could do. And I literally had patients die, which isn't something that was common with my coworkers. I was actually like one of 2 people that ever happened to. And there was just a string of very difficult patients that I was just consistently signed over a month. And it's how it had to fall with the schedule. And I got to a point where it's like, I can't do this. I can't go down this path. Like it felt so obvious. And when I recognized that, everything started changing. Everything became so much easier. And it really felt like what I was supposed to do in that moment was just acknowledge, like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I have no idea. I had no idea that I was going to be on YouTube or, what I was going to do otherwise. I just knew that I needed to do something different. And even admitting that was scary. And so I feel like, Cancer, you're kind of in a similar place in your life right now. There's a lot of struggle. And you keep telling yourself, I just need to get over this struggle. But then there's another, and there's another. And it feels like you've been swimming upstream for a while. And you'll know if this is the message for you, because sometimes you do need to persevere. Sometimes you do need to kind of push through, especially if it's something that you really care about. But this just feels like you've been in this stuck energy for years. For years. And there is something now where you are reconnecting to something simpler with the Six of Cups. For some of you, this could potentially be about a relationship too. I don't want to just make this about work, but it feels like primarily this is actually about your purpose, or at the very least who you are meant to be. And maybe that does involve who you connect with as well. But wow, Cancer, I feel like there is this need to reconnect to your inner child. And I really do believe that the inner child and the higher self are one and the same. I think our soul is so much more aligned with who we are when we're younger, before we take on all of that conditioning and limitation. And I'm not saying it's exactly like what you wanted, but there's something there. There's something in your childhood self that could be insightful as to what it is that you want to do now. And I feel like the path you're going down, you're going to find this role or this work that fits you like a glove. It's so natural, and you'll just know it when you're doing it. And that doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have to work at things, but it fits you. And you have tools to work with that. Anything else for Cancer right now? Anything else for Cancer? Knight of Wands. Giving yourself permission to try new things, or to do things that you might not think you're good at. It's okay if you scrape your knees, or you fall, or make mistakes. It's part of the fun. That's what I really get with this Knight of Wands. Like, maybe that's literally the thing that you're just supposed to embody right now. Like, you've created a sort of prison for yourself, Cancer, because you were told that it's wrong to make mistakes or to fall. And it's better to play it safe, right? Like, that's sort of what you took on. It's actually funny because it's 1:11 as I'm looking down at the clock, and it feels like there is some sort of new beginning, because that's what ones mean to me. And it's a very powerful kind of leadership number, or like standing on your own, standing in your own. And I really feel that with this Knight of Wands. And being okay with rejection and other people not getting you. I'm going to tell you right now, Cancer, it feels like you are meant to do something that not a lot of people are going to get. And that is what an innovative, creative person has to deal with their whole life. There are always going to be people who are not meant for you. There are also going to be people who are triggered and jealous of you with this peacock. Ooh, yeah, that's part of that peacock energy too. I feel like maybe some of you had insecure or perhaps even narcissistic parents or people in your life that didn't want you to shine because it made them feel less than. Maybe you had some sort of talent. Maybe you were a beautiful singer, and that made other people jealous, and they kind of said negative things to you. They rejected you. And I'm so sorry if that is the case, but it was not a reflection of your worth. And I don't feel like you're trying to make other people feel less than. That's their own insecurities. Stand in your power, Cancer. And standing in your power means being willing to be vulnerable. Being willing to be rejected. Being willing to make those mistakes, to be the fool. Because at least you're happy. And you will find the people who are meant for you with this Three of Cups at the bottom of the deck. You will find the people who support and love you for who you authentically are. This is the card of friendship and kind of siblinghood, sisterhood, brotherhood, finding those like-minded spirits. Wow. Very, very interesting energy here. Those are all the messages I am getting for you right now, Cancer. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this inspired and uplifted you. I know I was getting a little emotional at times. Maybe drop this peacock emoji if you've made it this far. Really embody your sort of flair and your beauty. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to keep your tail closed. Open yourself up to the world. Show off that beauty because it's inspiring for people. It really can be. And again, all of my links are in the description of this video if you'd like a personal reading or if you'd like to work together. And I will see you all next time. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. I'm sending lots and love and blessings your way. Take care, Cancer.